So getting into volume 5 of The Eminence in Shadow, this volume very much picks off straight away from volume 4 because of what happened in volume 4 with the whole incident with Rose and how she basically ended up showing light to what was going on with the whole cult and everything, and she was able to basically take back her sort of claim on the throne itself, and now she is the queen of the kingdom. There's a big follow-up on that where they go over the fact that there's a lot of misinformation going on about her, how the cult of Diablos tried to frame her, or is framing her, for the whole incident, basically saying that, oh, well, these creatures just came there because she used that as a way of taking over, and so a lot of the people have a lot of mistrust for her. There's a lot of issues going on, and she's struggling to basically hold her power because, hey, the cult has framed her quite well. They've used this situation to their advantage and they have executed it perfectly in a sense. But the funny part is our boy Sid, or Shadow, has kind of taken this upon himself to kind of be like, ooh, he's the evil mastermind that's puppeting the evil queen. And I just I always find it funny how he can turn any bad situation into some form of role playing. One of the things that I kind of thought to myself as reading this, I kind of wondered, like, what would happen if reality did hit him, or if he did find out that, hey, the cult isn't just some fictional LARPing that's going on, and it is a real cult, and that, hey, you know, he's actually got to face reality that some of these imaginary things are actually real. Now, of course, I've seen some comments in some of these videos where people are like, well, what is the deal with Sid's role playing? Like, yes, he understands there are bad people in the world, but again, to him, he thinks the whole cult is made up, that the girls are just playing along with the whole shenanigans that he's been making up. Because again, you got to remember, all the way from the beginning, he made it up. It was all a bit of fiction in his head, so to him, it's like, it can't be real because he made it up. So that's one thing there. But yes, he does understand that there are bad people in the world, and he knows that, you know, they're doing horrible things, but he doesn't think they are called the Cult of Diablos. He just thinks that it's all made up, it's all LARPing. So he understands some reality, but he's also still got that LARPing going on, that role play. But what I would be interested to see as a sort of a what if is if he does realize sometime down the road that, hey, all of this stuff is actually real, and instead of actually being like shocked into reality where he actually has to take it serious, he just doubles down on it. He's like, you know what, let's embrace it, and just, yeah, doubles down even further. He knows it's real now, but then would double down. Again, I'm just saying that's a what if scenario in my head of what would be funny to see happen, because I don't think it would be fun if he knew and then he started taking it serious, because I think the whole fun of Eminence in the Shadow is him not taking anything serious. So just wanted to kind of throw that spitball idea out there. But of course, now Rose is having to deal with all these issues politically, and also the fact that she is madly in love with him. I just thought it was funny. The fact that the romance there is growing and growing and growing, but it's always going to be one-sided, because that boy, as Sid, it's just, he's a wonder. He is a true wonder. Then, of course, they bring up the whole poker thing as well, which I thought was funny, because naturally he's brought a lot of the stuff from his world over into this world, and that's a common trait that happens in isekais a lot, is where, you know, main protagonist comes over from Japan into this new isekai fantasy world and then introduces all their cultural components, and poker being one of those that Sid brings over. And of course he thinks he's the big hotshot and then gets outplayed by the girls, so he has to cheat, and then they outbeat him even while he's cheating. That's just how good they get. Honestly, the girls are hilarious, because throughout this entire journey, they're always adapting little things they hear from him. Like, he'll always, like, throw these little trivial facts, little stories about his other world and all this other kind of stuff, and they will listen, they will take notes. Particularly Beta loves taking notes, and then they will use that knowledge that they've gained from him to make, like, massive, powerful corporations and industries that they're just going to make massive amount of money on. And so when the poker thing came up, I was kind of thinking to myself, what if they do like a Casino Royale kind of thing? Now, for those that don't know what that is, it's a James Bond movie. It's a classical movie. Of course, there is like the new version of it, and then there's the old original James Bond version. But I really want to see them take the poker thing and make this like massive casino underground organization where they're like rich society and everything, and he's like playing John Smith again. It'd just be so fun to see some kind of like Casino Royale kind of spin in The Eminence in the Shadow. I feel like it's highly possible just because of how the writer does these things and all the fun little like ties into these little references. I just really, really, really want to see that because that would be hilarious, honestly, in my opinion. And then as things go on, of course, the interactions between the girls themselves and Sid behind the classroom, and it ends up blowing up. Big fights happen. Nothing too big, you know. Just some massive events where everyone thinks something's going wrong, and then you get into the more fun stuff, which I think is just hilarious, which is Claire and her dealing with her hand and sort of this whole mysterious character. Like, of course we know who it is, but for everyone else they all think she's just gone completely wonkos, where she's got this like figment of imagination sitting there talking to her and she's having like a conversation. And I just think it's really funny because the interactions between Claire and Alexa are just so funny, because it's just kind of like, oh yeah, she said that thing, and it's like, who yeah, the girl in the corner. It's like, yeah, the girl in the corner, that imaginary friend of yours, Claire. Sure. And even Sid just doesn't believe it, which is kind of sad because, yeah, he's doing the role play, and that's the fun part about the joke, is that he is doing the role playing, and he thinks it's all fake, but it's all real. But he thinks Claire is role playing as well and doing the whole Chibio thing, and it's also real as well. And so that's why I just think it's so funny, because it's just the joke laid on each other, and it just gets more stupid and fun as it goes on. But she's basically trying to find out where the right arm of Diablos, I tried to pronounce it correctly because Diablo in my head, that's how I say Diablo, but they add the O-L-O-S, Diablos. So they're trying to find the right arm, which they end up finding out through some fun interactions in the library, that it is in an underground room in the school basement. So now they're finding out that, yeah, they're trying to get students, and this is why some of the students are going missing, because they're planning to basically resurrect him. And the reason for the resurrection is so that they can then use the tears to gain immortality, because that's what they want. They want immortality, which, to be honest, that does make sense. Like, I actually think that is quite a logical, well thought out story there. Like, as far as a writer goes, I just think that's actually kind of clever, because it's like, okay, they want immortality, so they're going to try and bring something back that's really bad, not because, you know, anything like too, like, sure, they want power, but I feel like their main priority is the immortality, not so much, hey, we're going to try and control this and use it, because I feel like they're going to struggle to control it. So I feel like their main objective is the immortality. Like, that's what they mainly want. They don't want this out of control beast. They might try and control it. They'll probably get a little bit ego thinking they can control it, and it will probably go completely wonkos and do more harm than good, and then Sid will be the one that will have to defeat it, which is obvious. But the immortality is what they're after. And so I thought that was really interesting. Also, the whole feast situation where Sid is like going for his little stroll, and then he meets this thief that's meant to be some like high profile thief, and he ends up like trying to like be like, oh, I don't want to kill you, throws him off the building and lands into a sword. I honestly couldn't stop laughing there. I was just like, really, that the level of luck that would have taken to just, hey, I'm going to throw you off the building to try and like keep you alive, and then he falls on a sword and is dead. Okay, he just leaves it, walks off, and then everyone's kind of wondering what's going on. And that's where also with them, the girls, so Claire and Alexa, trying to find out about the cult of Diablos and the right arm. This is where Iris pops in as well, because Iris, being the sister of Alexa, she's basically been not corrupted in the sense like she's aware of it, she's just been corrupted in the sense she's been fed lies. At least that's how I've seen it. Maybe she is evil, but I don't think so. She's clearly been manipulated and lied to believe that the cult is not real, that the Shadow Garden has made up the cult so that they can blame someone. And so the Knights are clearly compromised. They're clearly working for the cult. So that is clear as day. Clear as day. You can see it from a mile away that the cult has infiltrated a lot of aspects, and so clearly it's going to come down to those girls to try and get to the bottom of it. Of course, with Shadow Garden themselves doing other things as well. So Honestly, this half of the actual volume, because there's so much to talk about in this volume, that's why I want to split the volume 5 into 2 videos, because I love this volume. I really do. And even then, volume 4 is probably my favorite so far, and probably still is my favorite, but volume 5, sure, I've seen some comments saying that it is a lot more quieter, but I still really enjoy it because it kind of builds up a lot of the side characters, and that's something about Eminence in the Shadow that it surprised me. Like, I kind of thought that all I would care about is like Cid's crazy adventures with the girls, and I do like all the girls. Like, all the girls, I love them, particularly the Fox girl. There's something, her aesthetics is just beautiful. The white kind of elegant, sort of mysterious, mystical, magical kind of feel to it. But one of the things that I really do love is like Claire, Alexa, Iris, Rose. Like, particularly Iris is on the lower rank, but particularly like Rose, Alexa, and Claire. Like, I really love those three girls, and they're not like part of the main cast. They're like side characters, and I really love them. Like, that's the thing about Eminence in the Shadow that it's kind of surprised me, is that I've really enjoyed a lot of the side characters in the story because they're just so well written and they're so fun. And Cid in Shadow is just more there to add that fun, silly craziness going on, while the girls add a more interesting, more serious component. But there's still so many crazy, fun, silly moments with them as well, particularly with the talking book and the insults towards it, and it getting upset because someone called the talking book fat in this volume, which was the one that, so for those that don't know what I'm referring to, when the girls were trying to find out where the cult, what the cult is trying to do, where the arm is, where this base is, and what's going on, they had to decipher a book, and so they used some magical artifact that could talk, and so it was this thing could talk, and so it just, one of the girls called it fat, and so it kind of sulked. So it was just kind of funny. But that's what I mean about it. There's just so many silly, stupid things that are going on in the story. And that's what I love about Eminence in the Shadow. It's why I will continue to read Eminence in the Shadow, because it honestly, as I've said in my previous video, it fills the hole that's been left with Overlord. Because Overlord's coming into an end. I need something to fill that hole. And Eminence in the Shadow has done that. So I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of the first half of Volume 5? I'll be reading the second half because there's so much more fun stuff to come. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.